Ananda wandered through the streets, his heart heavy with despair, searching for a path to escape his suffering. He had lost his livelihood as a potter, his tools now lying abandoned in a corner of his home. Amid this turmoil, Buddha and his disciples walked calmly, observing the unfolding suffering with compassionate hearts. A young widow, frail and weary, stumbled toward them, clutching her child with desperate eyes seeking solace. She cried, "Master, my son hungers. I cannot feed him, and my soul aches with despair." Buddha extended his gaze toward her, his expression serene and imbued with profound empathy. The next morning, Ananda found himself at the monastery, greeted by the gentle rustling of leaves and bird songs. As he approached the assembly, his gaze fell upon the Buddha, seated serenely, radiating compassion and unwavering calm. Overwhelmed with emotion, Ananda bowed deeply and confessed, "Blessed One, I am lost. My purpose has vanished." The Buddha regarded him with compassionate eyes and spoke, "Ananda, life is like the flowing river, ever changing. Your suffering arises from attachment to what was, from resisting the natural impermanence woven into existence." He continued. Ananda asked, "Blessed One, how can I find peace when uncertainty grips my heart and clouds my vision?" The Buddha gestured to the grove of trees surrounding them and asked, "What do you see when the wind blows?" Ananda replied, "The trees sway in the breeze, some bending gracefully, while others resist and crack under pressure." He continued, "Compassion is the water that quenches this fire. It flows freely from those who choose to open their hearts. Let us speak of the Four Noble Truths," the Buddha began, his voice steady and imbued with profound wisdom. "First, understand that suffering exists, an inevitable part of the human condition, born of our attachments," he stated. "Second, recognize the cause of suffering, the clinging to desires and resistance to impermanence," the Buddha emphasized. "The third truth reveals that suffering can cease, that liberation is possible when attachment is relinquished," he continued. Buddha turned his gaze toward them and said, "Compassion is not bound by wealth or power. It thrives in even the poorest of hearts. When you see suffering, act not with pity, but with the love that seeks to heal and uplift." The following day, they journeyed into the heart of the kingdom, where despair hung heavily over every corner. A merchant sat amidst the remnants of his once thriving stall, his head in his hands, overwhelmed by loss. To find peace, begin by observing your suffering without judgment, allowing insights to arise naturally, the Buddha instructed. Ananda began to see his pain as an opportunity to grow, as a stepping stone toward a deeper understanding. "Blessed One, how can I embrace impermanence without being overwhelmed by fear and uncertainty?" Ananda asked earnestly. The Buddha picked up a handful of sand and let it slip through his fingers, illustrating the transient nature of life. "Do not cling to the grains of sand, Ananda, for their beauty lies in their impermanence, their fleeting presence," he said. He continued, "To embrace impermanence, cultivate acceptance and gratitude for each moment, fleeting as it may be." Ananda reflected on his own life, realizing that his suffering stemmed from grasping at what was no longer present. The Buddha added, "Ananda, within the impermanence of life lies its greatest gift, the opportunity for renewal and growth." As the assembly dispersed, Ananda walked away with renewed clarity, his burden lighter, his spirit uplifted. Over the following weeks, he practiced mindfulness, observing his thoughts and emotions with an open and accepting heart. He began to understand that suffering was not his enemy, but a teacher guiding him toward liberation. Ananda returned to the monastery one evening, his face alight with newfound understanding and purpose. "Blessed One, I have begun to embrace impermanence, yet I still struggle with letting go completely," he admitted. The Buddha replied, "Ananda, to let go, You must first recognize that the burden you carry is of your own making. Consider a man carrying a heavy sack of stones. Unwilling to release them despite their weight, the Buddha explained. To find peace, he must first see the stones for what they are. Burdens created by his own attachments, he said. Ananda nodded, understanding that his resistance to change was the heavy sack he carried, weighing him down. Forgive yourself for clinging to the past, for even this resistance is a part of the journey, the Buddha encouraged. Ananda vowed to continue his practice, embracing each step on the path as a chance to grow and learn. And so, the seeds of wisdom sown by the Buddha began to blossom within Ananda, guiding him toward liberation. Let your compassion inspire, and it will take root in others, spreading like the branches of a great tree. The disciples nodded, their resolve strengthened by his wisdom, knowing that their journey was only beginning. As the kingdom continued its journey toward healing, the Buddha and his disciples departed, their presence leaving an indelible mark on the hearts they had touched. The seeds of compassion they had sown began to bloom, their roots intertwining with the lives they had forever changed. He approached with reverence, bowing deeply, and said, "Blessed One, I strive to follow your teachings, yet I feel unworthy." The Buddha regarded him with kind eyes and replied, "Ananda, even the most radiant lotus blooms from the mud. You are not defined by your struggles, but by the courage to rise above them." The Buddha continued with assurance. "Blessed One," Ananda asked, "how can I overcome the feelings of failure that weigh so heavily on my spirit?" The Buddha gestured to a nearby lotus pond and said, "Let me share the story of the lotus flower. In the depths of the murky water, the lotus seed begins its journey, striving to reach the sunlight above. The mud and water sustain it, yet do not taint its purity as it blossoms with grace and beauty," he explained. He spoke softly, his words carrying the weight of truth. The river teaches us the wisdom of impermanence, flowing freely, reshaping the world, and embracing the essence of change. As they walked together, the Buddha continued, "Resilience arises not from avoiding challenges, but from embracing and transforming them." He shared the story of a farmer who lost his oxen during a great flood, facing immense hardship and uncertainty. Instead of lamenting his loss, the farmer invented a plow that could be pulled by a single ox, he explained. His innovation turned misfortune into opportunity, proving that creativity often emerges from the most challenging circumstances, the Buddha shared. "Blessed One," Ananda asked, "how can I discover new opportunities when fear and doubt cloud my vision and spirit?" The Buddha paused and picked up a pebble, holding it out to Ananda with a serene expression upon his face. "Imagine this pebble as your fear, weighing down your heart and preventing you from seeing the possibilities before you," he said. "To move forward, you must release the pebble, letting it fall so your hands are free to grasp new opportunities," he instructed. Ananda watched as the Buddha gently dropped the pebble, its weightless descent symbolizing the act of letting go of fear. Inspired by this teaching, Ananda resolved to explore new paths, using his skills to serve and uplift those around him. He began teaching pottery to villagers, sharing his knowledge and igniting their creativity, which brought them both joy and connection. One evening, Ananda returned to the monastery, his hands covered in clay, his heart lighter from helping others. "Blessed One," Ananda said, "I have found purpose in teaching, yet I still feel the shadows of self-doubt." The Buddha smiled warmly and replied, "Ananda, self-doubt is like a shadow, cast only when you turn away from the light. To banish the shadow, turn toward the light of wisdom and compassion, which illuminates the path to inner peace," he advised. Buddha nodded, his expression calm yet warm. Life flows like the river, ever changing, and with each change comes the opportunity to discover strength and wisdom. In the kingdom, The people began rebuilding their lives. Guided by the teachings of impermanence shared by the disciples, they embraced change not with fear, but with courage, crafting paths toward resilience with steady hands. The widow who had once suffered hunger now supported others, embodying the lessons of renewal. The merchant whose stall had been rebuilt helped neighbors revive their livelihoods. His teachings extended beyond the craft itself, imbued with lessons of resilience, impermanence, and the transformative power of compassion. Ananda approached the Buddha one evening and said, "Blessed One, my doubts have lessened, but I wish to strengthen my resolve." The Buddha replied, "Ananda, true strength comes not from the absence of doubt, but from the ability to persevere despite it." He spoke of the power of loving kindness, a practice that softens the heart and fosters connection with oneself and others. Loving kindness begins with you, Ananda, for when you are gentle with yourself, you can extend that gentleness to the world, he said. Ananda began to practice loving kindness meditation, silently offering wishes of peace and happiness to himself and all living beings. The disciples reflected deeply, their hearts opening to the wisdom of impermanence as a universal truth. One spoke, "Master, I now see that impermanence is not a source of fear, but an invitation to live fully." Buddha said, "To embrace impermanence is to free oneself from the shackles of attachment." Finding harmony in life's perpetual movement, the kingdom's people, guided by this wisdom, began gathering to share stories of resilience, each inspired by their own encounters with change. Another day, Ananda sat beneath the banyan tree, reflecting on his journey and the wisdom he had gained so far. The air was cool, the chirping of birds providing a gentle melody that matched the peace within his heart. However, a question lingered in his mind, an unspoken yearning to understand the greater purpose of his path. Ananda rose and walked to the monastery, where the Buddha was seated in quiet meditation beneath the Bodhi tree. Bowing deeply, Ananda said, "Blessed One, I have embraced impermanence and resilience, but I seek the ultimate meaning of life." The Buddha opened his eyes, his gaze serene and filled with infinite compassion, and motioned for Ananda to sit. As the kingdom healed, Buddha and his disciples prepared to depart, their presence forever etched in the hearts of its people, through the teachings of impermanence. The kingdom discovered resilience, transforming despair into hope and loss into renewal. There was once a king who sought the secret to happiness. Traveling far and wide, consulting sages and scholars, he said. Despite their wisdom, the king remained unsatisfied, until he encountered a humble farmer tending his small plot of land. He continued. Prosperity returned, but the lingering memories of hardship shaped a community rooted in kindness and resilience. The disciples gathered on a mountain peak, their hearts filled with gratitude and questions about sustaining the wisdom they had learned. Ananda listened intently, the Buddha's words painting a vivid picture of the farmer's humility and profound understanding of life. Ananda, true meaning arises when we act with compassion, serve others, and find joy in the present moment, the Buddha stated. Blessed One, Ananda said, how can I cultivate compassion when my own heart still carries the scars of past struggles? The Buddha picked up a fallen leaf, its edges worn and brittle, and held it gently in his hand. Ananda, this leaf, though fragile and weathered, still has a purpose, providing nourishment to the earth when it falls, he said. As they descended the mountain, Buddha guided them to a village where elders shared stories of rebuilding and resilience. The villagers recounted moments of kindness, courage, and unity, each story embodying the enduring wisdom sown by the disciples and Buddha. Buddha listened intently, his expression serene yet radiant. As the villagers' tales resonated deeply with his teachings, he said, every story you share becomes a lantern, lighting the path for others. guiding them toward compassion and wisdom. Ananda, just as the rivers flow into the ocean, our lives are interwoven, each action rippling outward, he said. By acting with compassion, you not only heal yourself but also contribute to the well-being of the world, he continued. Ananda felt a surge of inspiration, a realization that his journey was not solitary but part of a greater whole. Over the following days, Ananda focused on acts of kindness, offering his time, skills, and wisdom to those in need. Buddha approached her, his presence calming and warm, and said, "Your heart's light has turned despair into hope, illuminating paths for countless souls." The disciples understood that enduring wisdom was not a fixed entity but a living flame that thrived through collective action. "Blessed One," he said, "I have found joy in serving others. Yet I wish to deepen my understanding of compassion." The Buddha smiled warmly and said, "Ananda, compassion is like a flame that lights another candle without losing its brilliance. To deepen compassion, cultivate equanimity, the balance of mind that allows you to serve without attachment or aversion," he advised. He shared the story of a tree that provided shade and shelter to all, without discrimination or expectation of reward. A disciple said, "Master, the kingdom has healed not through riches but through the radiant light of its people's hearts." Buddha nodded and replied, "This light, born from suffering, now shines through resilience, proving the enduring power of compassion and wisdom in unity." He continued, "Share your light freely, for in its sharing, it multiplies, touching lives far beyond your reach." The disciples, inspired by his words, resolved to carry the wisdom of luminous hearts to all corners of their journey. Through this practice, Ananda experienced a profound sense of peace, a harmony that transcended his earlier struggles and self-doubt. One day, Ananda approached the Buddha with a radiant smile and said, "Blessed One, my heart feels light and full." The Buddha replied, "Ananda, you have embraced the path of compassion and wisdom, finding meaning through service and inner peace." He added, "Remember, the journey does not end here, for each day presents new opportunities to grow and give. Carry this light within you, Ananda, and share it with others. For in doing so, you honor the Dharma," he concluded. Ananda bowed deeply, his gratitude immeasurable, and resolved to continue walking the noble path illuminated by the Buddha's teachings. Buddha replied, "When wisdom becomes part of the collective spirit, it transcends time, flourishing eternally through those it touches." He led them back to the mountain peak, overlooking the kingdom bathed in the golden light of the rising sun. He said, "This view reflects the heart of the kingdom, illuminated by compassion and wisdom, a beacon guiding future generations." Buddha prepared to depart, his disciples carrying the lessons of luminous hearts deeply ingrained within their own souls. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.